have basically everything one might want in its trading setup. And we're talking about the times where I was afraid of spending £100 on my first monitor ever from trading because I did not know if it was going to be worth it, to now I look back and I think, oh well, this was not worth it at all. So I want to make this video to be able to break down everything one might want in its trading setup and everything you need. So we're talking about monitor, mouses, keyboards. This is the one-stop shop for your budget, whatever budget it is, for your trading setup. I will tell you everything when you are on a low budget, medium budget, and high budget. I will tell you what is worth it and what is not worth it. And let me tell you, a little bit of a spoiler, I am sitting on a $1.5 thousand chair, and let me tell you, it is not worth it, it's just a chair. Okay, so let's dig into the video right now. I'm going to take you through everything I have in my setup, and I will let you know what I think about it. So first off, the most important one is going to be your computer. You want your computer to run your MetaTrader, to see your trading view, everything. So this is what I figured out after having so many laptops and a good amount of just normal computers and desktops. If you're going for a laptop, I do recommend you having a 15-inch because our trading at least 15-inch screen. The reason for this is because since we are doing trading and it's a visual thing, the monitor is going to matter a lot. And if it's in your laptop, I do recommend at least 15-inch. I have a 16-inch MacBook Pro. It was more than enough for the longest time, even because I bought an external monitor. But if I want to work out and about and I'm not going to take a monitor, then 16 inches is perfect. Then if you're going for Apple, I would tell you that the Apple Mini is more than enough. I have the Mac Studio and it's too much, right? So the Mac Mini is more than enough because the Mac Studio is too much. I have the M2 Max chip or M3, I don't remember. It's too much. Like, I'm never really using the CPU, but I have it there just because I'm like, if I ever need it, then it's there. My stream is not going to lag, my computer is not going to lag, everything is going to be okay. But for yourself, if I'm giving you a little bit of a guide, it's at least go for 16 gigabytes of RAM because you don't want your PC to get clunky while you are trading. Right? So if you want to close a trade, all of a sudden the MetaTrader is not responding, you don't want that to happen. So I would personally always go for 16 gigabytes of RAM. And if you are looking for a desktop, then I recommend anything 16 gigabytes of RAM, a good enough graphics card that will do the job. A laptop can be anywhere around $300 to $800. If you're going for the Mac Mini, it's going to be at around $1,500 depending on how you spec it. If you are going for the MacBook Pro, it's going to be at around $2,000, and this one is extremely overkill and it was around $4,000. So you don't need something extreme. A laptop, normally a $500 laptop, is more than enough. But it's important because it's what is going to power your whole trading. Now, for monitors, I've had everything. I've had the 100-pound monitor, I've had the 200-pound monitor, I've had the 1,000-pound monitor, and I've had the 1,500-pound monitor, right? So this is what I personally feel. If you want a really good monitor, it's at least going to cost $500, right? But you can go for cheaper and that is perfectly fine. What I would tell you is that at least go for 27-inch in monitor, and if you can, go for 120 Hz display. You'll notice that it's really nice to look at. It's better to look at than a 60 Hz display. How many do you need? Personally, I genuinely believe you only need one, even though right now I have two. I have this one and this one. I actually do believe that you don't need two. I've used one for the longest time. I just bought this one because I was live streaming on YouTube. But this monitor was more than enough for everything I needed. So if you want something cheap, you don't need to spend more than $200 on a monitor. You can get good monitors for below that. If you want the medium, then I would go for a $400 monitor that is going to maybe give you a 4K display, and it's going to give you 120, 200 Hertz. And if you want to go for the expensive, that's where I would maybe go, depending on what your preference is. I would go for those big monitors, those ultra wide that I have, because that is basically going to give you two 27-inch monitors and you have everything you need right there. If you need more than two 27-inch monitors, I would simplify your strategy, to be fair. Now, I am currently sitting on a $1,500 chair and it's not worth it at all in my opinion. Herman Miller, it's just a chair, it's not worth the price point. Herman Miller is like the Apple of chairs. It's not worth it, but at least Apple makes it seem worth it. This one is it's a normal chair. I had a gaming chair that was $150, did the exact same job because I just sit in it. And everyone might say, oh yeah, but the ergonomics. Well, an IKEA chair for $150, $200 is going to do the same thing as this chair. So personally, I would not go for Herman Miller. This is my personal opinion. And if you are on a high budget and you don't mind spending the money, I would go for a high-end gaming chair, which is going to cost you around $600. If you are on a budget, I would go for a $100 to $200 gaming chair. And if you are on a medium budget, then you have those medium gaming chairs or even an ergonomics chair. So no need to splurge on a chair. Just try them out, make sure that you are comfortable in it. This one is not worth it. It's just a chair, you just have to sit down and keep your back straight. Now for the desk, I have a sit and stand desk back home and I have just a sit desk, which means a desk here. And let me tell you, this is what you are going to feel. When you don't have a sit and stand desk, you are going to want a sit and stand desk. And when you have it, then you are almost never going to use the stand feature. I used it maybe 5 to 10 times and then I stopped using it. There's only a particular amount of times where I feel, oh, I really want to stand right now, and I do it. It's rare, but it happens. But if you have the choice, then go for the sit and stand, because like that, you scratch the itch of wanting a sit and stand desk. So mouse, I would go for the MX Master 3. It's a perfect mouse. It's a mid-range mouse, right? It does everything you need. It's really, really comfortable to hold. And I would say it's more than enough. If you want to go for the cheaper one, at the end of the day, it's just a mouse. So don't overthink it. The headset, so this is another one where if you can splurge, you can go for the AirPods Max, which is what I personally have. Is it worth the money? Not at all. And if you want something that is worth the money, then I would go for the Sony XM Mark III, 4 or 5. I would personally go for the 4 because the 5 are a little bit weird. So I would go for the Sony XM Mark IV, because for the price of the AirPod Max, you can buy 2 Sony XM Mark IV. So it's not that big of a difference in terms of sound quality, unless you really like the transparency mode, in which I would recommend the AirPods Max. And by the way, I also have the AirPods Pro, which are the earbuds, and those ones, I don't recommend the budget version because those ones are really, really good. And if you want the budget version, then look for some JBL or Beats that have noise cancelling, because I think noise cancelling is a game changer. Now for the mic, I'm using the Sony SM7B. It's hooked up into a Rodecaster Pro 2, but again, this is more into the videos type of thing. So if you want a mic and if you need a mic, I would go for the Shure MV7, more than enough. I just bought this one because then I would forever not have to buy another one. And I was thinking of doing podcasts. I ended up not doing them. Then webcam ends up being the same thing. I have the Insta360 Link. I find it to be a good camera, but a little bit overpriced. I wouldn't pay more than 100 euros for a webcam. This one was 370. It was a business expense. Don't worry, but overall not worth it if you just want a webcam. And last but not least, the camera. This is Sony a7 IV with a 50mm lens, and I also have a 24mm lens. On the desk we have the keyboard from Apple. I personally don't like the mechanical keyboards, so the Apple keyboard does perfect job. Then the phone, I have the 15 Pro. You don't need the Pro version. Last year I decided that I wanted the most recent one, bought the most recent one. That's it. You don't need a beefed up phone, like everything does the same all the time. So you are good with any type of phone. So then I have the Kindle. I don't usually read on the Kindle. I bought it for if I wanted to read on the Kindle. I have books. I like physical books, so I keep on doing physical books, but the Kindle is a good investment in my opinion. And then I have the iPad Pro. I've talked about the iPad Pro. I use this more as project management, as brainstorming, and anything that I don't take this computer and the big computer out. I take the iPad because again, much smaller, you have the keyboard, you have everything you need. So this is what I use for note-taking, sketches, and anything I might want. Is this worth it? No, unless you have money spare, you don't need the iPad. Last but not least, we just have my board. If there's anything I want to explain, if there's anything I want to brainstorm, I always like whiteboards. I think whiteboards are amazing if you want to get your thoughts. Right now, I'm developing something bigger than myself. Everything that I have in terms of thoughts, it has to go into a whiteboard. Doesn't matter if it's a notebook, doesn't matter if it's the iPad, doesn't matter if it's the whiteboard. I always use this. We have huge amount of papers already being used. So overall, amazing purchase. This was like 30 euros, so you can get a whiteboard if you want. And yeah, that is it for now.